Welcome to the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr. I am a transformational mindset and business coach and six-figure award-winning female entrepreneur. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that business and making money doesn't have to be hard when you're in alignment and flow. Inside this podcast, I will be showing you how to transform your mindset to program it for success, how to maximize your money vibrations, and how to redesign your business for ultimate financial and time freedom. You know you are meant to live an epic life. Now it's time to claim it. Hi ladies, welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I'm your host Rebecca Barr and I am super excited to share with you quite a personal episode today in terms of the things that I will be doing in order to make my children wealthy and really instill that wealth mindset, even though I myself grew up so poor. And I think it's just a conversation that needs to be had for parents and women to know how much personal power you have to really change the trajectory of your kids' lives. Because here's the thing, children will be taught at school to essentially be average. Like, all that the education system cares about is that your kids are good taxpayers, that they get a good job, and that they essentially, stay plugged into the matrix and live a very average life. For you as a parent, what I see as our responsibility is to be the embodiment of what is possible so that we can not only, support and encourage our own kids to go out and have an incredible life on their own damn terms and live their life on purpose, but also have that for us too. And that for me is where the work is as a parent. It's recognizing where you are the person who is essentially holding yourself back from that. Not the economy, not the government, not, financial situations and very short-term circumstances. It is you and your mindset and your belief. So in this episode today, I'll be sharing all of the steps that I'll be taking to essentially build that wealth mindset for my kids, but also build wealth and ensure that they then don't become the block to their own success as they move out in the world. And obviously I say this as a mum with 5 kids who literally grew up so poor that our house was repossessed, not once, but twice in my childhood. I didn't live at home from a really young age, like my kind of mid-teens. I bounced around from different family members, and I never really had a sense of financial security, and that just hasn't been my reality. So everything that I'm teaching you now, I've had to consciously learn. I've had to consciously get out of my way and just know that this is not how it's meant to be. And equally, I don't want this for my kids. I want the toxic cycles of feast and famine and not feeling good enough and not having any financial safety or choice in this world to end with me. I want my kids to go out and be empowered, to be, change makers, to be confident, to not make money any big deal, not to be overwhelmed, intimidated by conversations or people or situations, to literally go out and just live their life on their terms. That for me is the end goal. It's not about raising entitled, wealthy, rich kids that don't really ever have any resilience or resourcefulness or ever have to overcome any adversity, because I think that all of those things are really character building and actually really important in making you a good person. But I'm going to teach them from a young age that they have power, they have choice, they have the potential to make a huge impact in this world. But all of that comes down to being financially safe and secure and have economic power. So the first thing that I will be doing is obviously, and I have been doing, this is the thing, like my oldest daughter is 13 now. And with money mindset, the work is never done. It's never done. Even when we have done, read a few books and kind of recognized a few patterns, there will always be more to do. And that's the beauty of it, is that we're never going to be finished as a project. As it relates to us as spiritual human beings, there's always going to be another level of success, another level of growth, another level of self-awareness that we can tap into. So therefore, there'll always be more work that we can do to uncover that. So for me, the first thing is essentially changing the conversation from afford to value. And that was the most powerful game change for me as a parent, because, equally, I've been a single parent. So there have been times when I haven't been able to afford something, but I don't want to have those conversations with my kids, because typically I could afford something. If I was willing to sacrifice or hustle or not pay something else, the reality is we typically have enough money, but it's how we choose to disperse it, distribute it, that makes us think that we can't afford something. But actually, you're choosing to pay your rent. You're choosing to pay your council tax or your bills, your car payments. Now, obviously, there can be an expectation that, but I have to. You don't have to. You choose to. You could choose not to, and then you wouldn't have a house or a car anymore. But that's entirely your choice. And it's recognizing that you have power in that moment when you choose to make that decision. So for me, like, I could technically afford to buy my kids the things that they wanted at that time, but it would have meant having to not pay something else. And I wasn't prepared to do that because the value wasn't good enough. It was for a toy or for a short-term fix or a holiday or something else that actually, is important, but not as important as having a roof over our heads and all the things. So for me, when I balanced out the two things, it's like that feels like a want, not a need. And it feels like something that is not going to give us a good compensation and value. So typically when I speak to my kids now, obviously I don't need to worry about things like, can I afford it? Typically, unless they come and say, I want a private jet, like, I can afford most things for my kids now, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to give them everything, because equally, I'm also very discerning about value. And as a money mindset mentor, I don't teach my clients to restrict themselves in terms of the things that they want. What I teach them to do is have the discernment to know the difference between the things that you really, really want to spend money on, that are really going to bring you joy, that really light you up, that really nourish your soul, that really make you feel good, and the things that you're going to spend money on that aren't necessarily going to do any of those things. Like, you're buying it because you're believing that it's going to give you some element of self-worth outside of yourself, some element of validation that's going to give you a short-term fix. And what I believe is not cutting it costs as such. It's about being really intentional with where your money goes. So really pay for the things that light you up and bring you joy, and cut your expenses on the things that you literally couldn't care less about. So it's about having those conversations around, like, yes, I could buy you V-Bucks in Fortnite, but actually, is that the best use of my money? That is going to be gone really quick. That doesn't feel like a good amount of value. Yes, I could buy you this toy, but it's absolutely rubbish and it's not going to last for more than 2 seconds, even though it's only a few pounds. That still doesn't feel like good value to me, so I'm not going to buy it. And it's about having those conversations, not justifying yourself to your kids, because equally we are the adults, but it's about having those meaningful conversations around money and affordability versus value. I'm also going to be, and I do, empower them with their investments. So as well as having things like savings accounts set up for them, which they've had since they were a baby, that I contribute to every month, I also have investment accounts set up for them so that they essentially work with me to decide where they want to invest their money, what kind of industries, what kind of companies, and then we have set up a direct debit that basically goes to those companies in their portfolio, and they each have their own portfolios that they have cultivated. And it's about them understanding, firstly, playing the long game. So that's also the other thing that I wanted to share, is that investing is a long-term game. So one thing that we have a toxic trait in our family is a horrendous gambling habit. And my mum is a gambler, my stepdad was a gambler, my brother does gamble, but I think he's fine with that. But it's this mindset of someone is going to save us. If I could just win the lottery, if I could just win this bet. And for me, I have always been a firm believer that you make your own luck and you don't need anybody else to save you. So I don't ever want my kids to get into that trap of the quick wins, the hustles, the short-term fixes, because obviously as an entrepreneur, like, that is not how business works. It's all about the long game. And also it's about having patience. It's about building for your future. It's about paying your future self before you pay yourself now. It's about having that strategic long-term vision and playing the long game. So we already are doing that by the kids understand that they are, putting small amounts in every week into these stock portfolios that they are empowered and have choice around. So obviously, my son is a gamer, so it's all the tech industry, it's Tesla, it's all of the brands that he recognizes. My daughter is an artist, so she is, more inclined to anything that's creative, artistic. And I've got another daughter that is all about, the eco-based businesses and technology and all the things. And I do a bit of everything. But again, I trust them to make the right decisions for them. And then they understand that this is a long-term investment. No, this isn't, we're winning the lottery in a couple of weeks. This is going to continue to build and build and build until you are old enough to essentially have the portfolio transferred to you. And then it's for you to kind of, learn, to be empowered, to understand what is happening with your money. I'm like your gatekeeper at the moment, and guardian essentially, but that will be you going forwards. And they're really excited to do that. And they love to see like the growth and the dips and the highs and all of the things with their own portfolio. So that's like two lessons in one, about playing the long game with the compound interest on their savings accounts and also their investments, and also giving them the power of choice, and them understanding that even though it's only a small amount every week, and I think you can start them from like £2 a week, so this doesn't have to be a whole big thing, that it has power. They now have shares in those, so they're shareholders in some of these companies too, and that they have economic power. Even though it's small, it's still there. So that's a really powerful symbolic act and practical step that we take. Obviously, dealing with my own shizzle has been the biggest game changer, because again, like I say, money mindset is sneaky. There will always be something else, and typically our relationship with money is more than the money. It is about our relationship with ourselves and what we feel worthy of receiving and holding on to and charging, and how we feel about being seen. And it's so symbolic in so many other areas of our lives. So as much as, yes, I've got the wealth bit down, it's also about understanding how am I showing up in the world? How am I allowing other people to treat me? What am I saying in this moment about my how I should be supported, how I should be treated, what I should receive, like all of the things. It's the continual work, and it's about having that radical self-awareness as a parent and dealing with it. It's why I've created an incredible new money mindset program that is tailored specifically just for mums. It's an audio experience, because I understand that as mums, like, we have the biggest desire than ever. We have all the best intentions, but we don't have the time. So I've purposely recorded it. So it's an audio experience. You can literally listen to it like a podcast on the go and do this work. So if you want to do that, I'll pop that in the show link. It's only £47. It's really not that much money, but it's the best investment you'll ever make in yourself, because I'll be leaning more into these tools. I also love to nurture their entrepreneurial spirit. So again, like, they've all seen me go from working in a really toxic corporate job where I was gone all day, I used to cry on my way to work, to then being in a business, a brick and mortar business that took me away at all times, that meant that we were sitting in the shop at weekends, a lot of sacrifice with that job. But again, like, cash business, so they saw a lot of money and cash and stuff around the house. And then obviously now me as a business coach and moving all of my work online, like, again, it's a different journey. It's me being at home, being present, being on the school runs, but equally, like, we get to do nice things and we have flexibility. So they have seen all of the different evolutions of my business. So for them, I'm already homeschooling one of my daughters as well. So I don't think that any of them really, maybe one daughter has an ambition to work in a mainstream job. I would say all the rest are very entrepreneurial, so, and artistic and creative and all of the things, and want to work for themselves, which is amazing. So that's what I will be doing, is getting them to focus on expansion rather than constriction. When it comes to something you want, it's not how much money can I save to get it, it's how much more money can I make to get that thing. And they understand that being your own business owner gives you that ultimate control to tap into unlimited resources. I teach them obviously to not fear money or asking stupid questions, to ensure that they get the right answers. So I think one thing for me that I have really learned has served me well, particularly when I was building my property portfolio up to 7 figures at a young age, so I had my first mortgage at 18, was that I learned very quickly that it's okay to be the stupidest person in the room. And if you're in the room where you are not stupid, but the least knowledgeable person in a room, and if you are in a room where you are a big fish in a very small pond, then you're in the wrong rooms. And I learned very quickly to remove my ego, to ask the questions, because ultimately that's how I learned. And I needed to know things on my own terms. I've never been a person that can just take somebody else's opinion and be like, okay, well, if you say, then obviously it must be true. I'm like an inner rebel, so I'm never going to believe that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go find that out for myself. And just because you say it can't be done, I'm going to probably do it twice. Hence the reason why I have 5 kids, when I was told the whole of my 20s that I wouldn't have one, because somebody told me that I couldn't have them. So I was like, well, we'll see about that. And I literally threw myself into so many alternative options and medicines, and really opened myself up to what was possible, and all of surrounding myself with those messages of miracles happen, things can happen, there's always a way, rather than the people that are like, yeah, sorry about that, can't be done. I was like, we'll see. So again, like I say to my kids, like, don't be afraid to ask the questions, put your hands up, like get the information that you need to make the decisions that will benefit you. Like, don't worry about looking silly. Like, most people hold themselves back from truly an exceptional life because they're so worried about looking silly or trying and failing and all of the things. But that's where the magic happens. Obviously, another thing is I am a huge believer in not being a sheep in life. And again, comes from that rebel mindset where when everybody else goes left, go right. I truly believe in that. And especially as an entrepreneur, like that's where the opportunities are. Do the things that others won't do. Go the extra mile and all the things. Like I've never been a person that goes with like trends, probably because I'm not particularly trendy, like in any way, but that's never motivated me to be part of a herd or a sheep tribe. I know that we are conditioned to be part of a tribe and want to be liked at a deep subconscious level. But for me, I think I recognized from a young, early age that I am not like everybody else. You know, I never had a 2.4 family. I didn't grow up in a conventional environment. Like I don't have typical family dynamics. I've experienced trauma that a lot of people haven't experienced. So therefore, rather than me trying to fit into a box for other people and try and be like everybody else, I need to just embrace the fact that I'm never going to be, and that's okay. Because actually what will happen instead is that I'll create something that's truly unique. And also I'm a manifesting generator. So in our human design, we are actually meant to create new life paths and not do things like how everybody else has done it. And learning that really gave me a lot of confirmation and beliefs that I already had anyway. And gave me the confidence to just go off and do my own thing, because that's just how I've been doing it my whole life. And that's how the universe keeps making it happen anyway. And I really encourage that with my kids, like, don't be a sheep. Not necessarily be a wolf, because they don't need to be ruthless or cutthroat or, you know, any of the things, but it's like, don't do the things that everybody else does. Do what you want to do, be honest with yourself and true to your goals. Obviously I mentioned about the long game and compound interest, long-term investments, dealing with my own money beliefs and being the embodiment of what I tell them. But also that the last thing I wanted to share with you is that they have like their own bank accounts. So they have GoHenry accounts. And for me, again, it's not about budgeting. It's not about making them feel bad or wrong in their purchasing decisions. Like if they want to go and buy Prime or sweets and things, that's exactly their right to do that. But it's about really having those conversations around, you could buy this, but if you buy this, you're not going to be able to buy this. Is that what you want? And just kind of allowing them to kind of move through their own decision making process. And just, you know, I truly believe as parents that we're not here to like control our kids. We're here to nurture and facilitate and all of the things. I don't think I'm like total gentle parenting where I don't raise my voice. I absolutely do, because I demand respect as a mother, especially as a single mother. Like we have to run a tight ship at home. But when it comes to their purchasing decisions, that's on them. Like, absolutely, they're the ones. And equally, the last thing I want to share is that I don't link their pocket money to their chores, because I don't want them to have a give to get mindset. Like, I did something, so now you reward me. And I recognized very early that with me saying like, oh, you can earn this much for your pocket money, the kids were being super helpful, but doing a half-assed job, by the way, because they just wanted to get something. And it really annoyed me, because then it was like, how much will I get if I do this? How much will I get if I do that? And I just thought, no, we need to nip this in the bud. I don't want to give to get mindset with my kids. So their pocket money is not linked to chores. They will get it whether they've been a shitbag or not. Because for me, teaching them financial empowerment and independence, even from me as a parent, and discernment, means that as they get older, they get to leave bad relationships. They get to leave bad jobs that they hate, because they're not controlled by money, because they are not putting it on a pedestal where other people have control over them, whether they get something or they don't. So they get their pocket money regardless, but they will, you know, and don't get me wrong, I take away like devices and all the things if they're being naughty or disrespectful. So there are punishments, absolutely, but not financial punishments, because again, I've experienced that in relationships where I've been punished if I haven't complied to somebody else's behavior or expectations, and then, you know, money is being withdrawn and all the things. I've absolutely had that in my life, and I would never want to pass that toxic behavior on to my kids. But because the end goal is ultimately, like I say, empowering them to live their life entirely on their own terms. So I hope that you found this useful. I'm just going to quickly whiz back through the points that I made. So it was obviously giving them their own bank accounts and allowing them to have ultimate buying decision, investing on their behalf, and showing them they have economic power by deciding on the companies and industries that they feel passionate about and want to invest in, encouraging them to have that long-term mindset rather than looking for quick wins and hustles, and understanding about compound interest and long-term investment returns, having conversations around value rather than affordability, nurturing their entrepreneurial spirit, getting them to focus on expansion rather than constriction, i.e. how much more money can I make, not how can I save. Teach them not to fear money or asking stupid questions to ensure that they get the right information for them, not to be sheep and do what everybody else does, dealing with my own beliefs and ensuring that I am the embodiment of them. So I hope you found this episode useful. I get asked a lot when it comes to money mindset, because I have so many kids, like, how are you doing that work and passing that on to them? These are very real practical things, and there's probably more as well. Like the kids will often ask me to put things onto eBay because they recognize like the cash generating opportunities from that. I have to manage their expectations a little, because they think that people are going to pay 50 quid for a game that I paid £50 for it. It's like they're not going to pay that once you've used it. But I appreciate, again, the fact that they recognize that there are always more ways to make money, and that's ultimately creating that abundance wealth mindset and encouraging them to live life on their own damn terms is essentially my mission. So I hope you've loved this episode. As I mentioned, if you'd love to join me inside the Millionaire Mindset Mumma audio experience, I would love to have you there. This is my soul's mission, because I have 5 kids. Think of the legacy that I'm going to leave, not only for my clients and the hundreds and hopefully thousands one day women that I serve, but also with my children, their children. Like, this is the real generational wealth for me. You can give your kids all the money in the world, but if you aren't dealing with your own shizzle and being a better version of you, then that's ultimately, they're missing out on the real generational wealth. So thank you so much. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, comment, share, all the things, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been amazing to share this time with you, and I feel honoured to be part of your journey. If you've loved what you've heard, had an aha moment, or found value in this episode, then please do like, comment and share. I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, so come and find me, and I look forward to helping you build your epic life.